Hi, I'm Jed
And I'm Ted.
with a Pioneer Agronomy update from Siebert Ag. We're going to let you know what we're seeing in the fields right now and a few things to expect over the upcoming weeks. Starting off, from a growing degree unit accumulation standpoint, we're tracking slightly ahead of last year and slightly ahead of the 30-year average. So corn's currently in about the V10 to V13 stage. It's growing very rapidly. Cell elongation is happening very quickly. So we are kind of in that period where we're a little more susceptible to brittle snap or any storms. So hopefully we can keep avoiding those. Soybeans are in the R1 to R2, approaching full flowering stage, and moisture uptake is increasing on both crops right now. From an insect standpoint, we're starting to see some Japanese beetle pressure, especially as we go west into Hamilton County area, in the Aurora, Giltner, Hampton areas. So on soybeans in that flower to pod fill stage, the threshold for Japanese beetles is about 20% defoliation, and we're not quite there yet, but we really do need to be watching and scouting because they are pretty thick. On corn, the main thing we want to be scouting for on Japanese beetles is for silk clipping, and be prepared to treat if they are clipping silks at pollination. We're seeing some corn rootworm larvae feeding, especially on white corn or conventional corn that doesn't have transgenic trait protection. So now's a good time to assess rootworm feeding on roots, and being prepared to spray for rootworm beetles at pollination time if they are clipping silks.
Yep, and so like you mentioned, water uptake is growing right now. The last week here on beans and corn, according to some ET gauges, we were about 1500ths per day. Expect that to ramp up a little bit more here, probably closer to 2000ths here coming this next week. So there's also nutrient uptake is coming, spiking as well. So fertigation would be something to get done here this coming week on the corn. We've been starting to see just a few western bean cutworm moths starting to show up in the light trap counts over at Clay Center. We have some moth traps out around the area, so we'll be monitoring that, kind of keeping an eye on egg mass counts as well out in the field. As we get a little bit closer to tassel time, it'll also be time to start thinking about some fungicide applications and kind of prioritizing those fields that need that. And when we do that, we'll also be looking at maybe throwing an insecticide in with some of those applications for western bean cutworm on some of those fields that don't have any traits to protect against them. So.
All right, please call if you have any questions. And just a reminder, now that corn's pretty well blocking intersections, just make sure we're all slowing down, stopping, double checking to stay safe, and have a happy 4th of July.